it was that was a fun time, although not. So we have your sheriff, Sheriff Lima. I just want to talk about him for. Kinley, Julie Moran from the American Red Cross, Janice Moran from the American Red Cross, Jerry Moran, it's Cinder's birthday's today, by the way. I don't know if you're related to him. But the American Red Cross is here. One thing I hope everybody thinks about is always volunteer for the Red Cross. It's a big deal what they do. When we open up all those shelters, the food we distribute, all those things, it's a lot of volunteers, and a lot of people come from all over the country as part of the American Red Cross, and they just do an outstanding job. So I recognize some other individuals that are not going to be speaking. We got Alexander Quinones representing the U.S. Senator Ashley Moody. We've got Commissioner Bob Delary, Seminole County Commission. We've got Commissioner Lee. Where's Lee Constantine? I haven't seen Lee. So Lee has been around for a long time. He was just getting out, I think, when I ran for governor. Amy Lockhart, I think, Amy, you started about when I did, right?
Yes.
We started about the same time. Seminole County Commission, Mayor Art Woodruff, Mayor of Sanford. The mayor's an easy job. Nobody ever complains. You know.
Let's switch.
I don't know. I always tell people, you know, the best jobs are president, mayor, and governor, because if you want to be an executive. But you do, if you're the mayor, man, you get a lot of phone calls. I get a lot of phone calls, but I think the mayor, we get a lot. We've got some state representatives here. Rachel Plakin here. I had the opportunity to serve with her husband, Scott, Representative David Smith, Representative Doug Brankston, and Daniel Elliott, representing State Rep Susan Placencia. So why are we here? We're here to do everything we can to get people ready. No, we're not on the coast. So people say, "Oh gosh, we don't have to worry about hurricanes so much." But if you really look at these hurricanes, what's happened is they've really become big water events. And part of it, if you're on the coast, we're going to have storm surge. And the National Hurricane Service, National Weather Service, they're doing the best job they can. They're going to try to tell you the path. They're going to try to tell you the wind, and they do their best at doing it. And then they're going to trying to get better and better and better on the storm surge. But guess what? It's Mother Nature. But here's what we found. I mean, you look at these storms. We've had unbelievable flooding where people never thought we'd have flooding. I remember when I was governor, and even with I think it was Ian. These parts of the state, we had flooding that we never anticipated, and water's going to kill you. If you're on the coast, it's the storm surge can kill you. If you're inland, you drive into water, it's going to kill you. First off, I don't want to recognize my wife, Ann, who actually had we live in Naples, where we have had 3 hurricanes. Bad one was Ian, the other 2 not quite as bad for us, a little bit further north, but we got bad storm surge in all of them. But she can tell you, because of what happened down in Naples area in Ian, I think she still has, she still worries about anything like that, because she saw how bad it was down there. But so here's our goal. All of us are going to be here today, and we're going to try to get you to be prepared. There's a lot of websites, and I hope everybody that comes up will tell their website. But you need to follow your local evacuation zones, and you need to follow it. And you need to actually do it ahead of time. I can tell you what happened in our case. When Ian hit Collier County almost 3 years ago, by the time they did the local evacuation, you couldn't really leave because of the tornadoes. So if you think you might be in the evacuation zone soon, get the hell out. Don't take a chance. So 3 days of water, or 7 days of water, 7 days of food. But go to ready.gov, and everybody's going to have their websites. Follow them. Get a plan. Don't take a chance, and don't wait to go buy stuff because it might be too late. Keep your cars full. I tried when I was governor never run out of gas, and we were able to do that. But often we run out of gas. Make sure you make some friends, so you know someplace to go. They put your time into making some friends right now, so you have a place to go to. We're going to open up shelters. When I was governor, what we did, we opened up the shelters. National Guard was what opened up originally, but then the Red Cross really took over almost all of them. So we're going to try to make sure you have everything, but it's your job to get ready. So now let me turn it over to some other individuals that will give their message. And there's a separate message after it hits. Don't use those darn generators inside. If you don't know how to use a chainsaw, don't touch it. And if we have a lot of saturated land, we've lost people after these storms with trees falling. So we survived. My job as governor is, my goal was nobody die. Nobody die, and keep everybody alive, because you can always rebuild that house, but you just can't rebuild somebody's life. I said it so many times that my now 13-year-old grandson, when he was governor, he memorized it when he was 4. I said, you can rebuild that house, you can't rebuild your life. So now we're going to hear from Congressman Corey Mills. Corey, we're going to get over here.
I want to thank the senator for putting this together. Obviously, as governor and now as senator, he's done an amazing job in supporting our emergency management systems, but also just talking about the readiness that's required. Honored to be here with Alan Harris, our emergency manager. Him and I worked together quite diligently throughout many of the storms that's come through, as well as for the Sheriff's Department. Sheriff Lima, he's the best in the state. I mean, absolutely has led the way, not on just opioid addiction. He deserves it. I mean, I'm truly blessed, as we all are, to have Sheriff Lima as our sheriff. Our fire chief as well, done an amazing job, Matt, so thank you for everything that you've done. You continue to support us. These are the true unspoken heroes. These are the individuals who are out there every single day while the storm is going on, and as Senator Scott talked about, after the storm has passed through. And this is where we see the big majority of things that are mistakes. Going through with the standing water, not understanding down powered lines, not looking at deadfall trees, going into a house that has some infrastructure damage that causes further damage as they walk in. These are all things that we know we want to take articles out of our homes, the memories, the memorabilia, the photos, but sometimes we have to wait for our emergency management teams to be able to come in and do it safely. So let's just always think safety first. It's an honor to be here today alongside my colleagues to talk about something that's vitally important to Floridians, which is hurricane preparedness. I cannot emphasize enough the critical nature of being ready for these powerful storms that can strike our state with little to no warning. We all know that hurricanes pose a significant threat to our state, and Florida has experienced numerous hurricane landfalls, and so something which we're accustomed to. With the peak seasons running from August to October, we need to be ready. Landfall too often in these peak seasons catch us off guard. So again, making sure we have all the necessary things to be ready for this preparedness. These storms can bring devastating winds, rainfall, and life-threatening storm surges, as we've witnessed in recent years. As Florida's 7th district, I have both coastal and inland, and I can tell you that the devastation of storm surge, especially with the St. Johns, doesn't stop just at the coast, doesn't just stop with beach erosion as we see in Daytona Shores or Ponce Inlet, but also looking at our lakes. And we saw what happened with Mullet and Lake Harnett, where we saw devastating floods that destroyed areas within Seminole County. We have to be prepared because the water is truly the biggest threat that we've seen. We watch with our high storm vehicles that comes in. We've watched where we've utilized helicopter, we've utilized swamp buggies, we've utilized airboats, anything possible to be able to get to them. But again, I can't reiterate how significant and how dangerous the standing and rising waters are. In the aftermath of these storms, I've toured Habitat for Humanity's work, rebuilt the devastating loss of homes and communities suffered, and the work that they're doing is vital to our recovery efforts. So let us also remember our Habitat for Humanity and all of our organizations who continue to help us well after the storms have passed. The devastation after Milton and Helene are also far and wide. I worked hard with Elon Musk and his team and the county officials to set up Starlinks to help us here in Seminole County as well as for Volusia. We delivered, Sheriff, I believe it was 20 plus 30 systems to ensure that our vehicles have connectivity so that we can make sure we have the vital communications, but also setting them up in communities where they've lost power and they've lost the connectivity to be able to update their families. Towers are down, Verizon's down, AT&T, etc. Being able to let your families know that I'm okay is a very vital part of that. So we try to do our best to help with those communities. Hurricane victims come across and access internet as they file claims as well when we talk about FEMA and other areas to contact loved ones. When people were stranded and needed to be evacuated, we showed up for them. I can tell you that I spent many a day sitting there traveling with trucks loads of food, supplies, substance. I mean, I don't know how much we brought in, but we brought in a pretty significant amount, and not to mention we brought 23,000 pounds worth of supplies into Western North Carolina. Again, Americans all deserve that level of support. When disasters strike, we show up for our neighbors. We show up for our community, and that's what this is about. And that is must remember that hurricane season is not something that we're unaccustomed to or that's unfamiliar. We know the dates, we know the times. As a community, we must work together on preparing ourselves for hurricanes. Check on your neighbors, especially those who may need a certain assistance, such as the elderly or individuals with disabilities. Offer to help them and be ready for their preparedness. Participate in local prepared events and volunteer with organizations that help with disasters, response, and recovery efforts. By coming together as a community, we can ensure that no one is left behind in these types of storms. We must understand that in order to have a strong country, it starts with having a strong community. In Congress, we are committed to supporting legislation that strengthens our state's resilience to hurricanes. This includes funding for critical infrastructure projects, like improving our levees, our drainage systems to better protect our communities from storm surge and flooding, and also getting the necessary 402 and 40203 storm surge studies that allow our Corps of Engineers to determine what kind of beach erosion we have and what we can do to help that. We also work to ensure that our emergency management agencies have the resources they need to respond effectively to hurricanes and other disasters. By investing in these measures, we help to minimize the impact of these storms and speed up recovery process. I can tell you myself and Congressman Fine will always continue to support Floridians when it comes to being ready for prepared for storms, but also have the necessary resources and funding to guarantee that you can rebuild your lives. It is important to remember that hurricane preparedness is a shared responsibility. That's why we're all standing here today, whether it be from the county commissioner, the mayor, the emergency management teams, our sheriff, our great senator, or other members. We stand here with the Red Cross and other organizations to ensure that we're all one community and one fight. Each of us has a role to play in keeping our families, our neighbors, and our communities safe. By taking action now, we can minimize the impact of these storms to protect the lives and property of fellow Floridians. Don't wait until the hurricane is bearing down on us to start preparing. Take the time today to review your plan, update your emergency kit, and ensure that you're ready when it's hurricane season comes. As we face challenges of hurricane season together, let's work together to keep our community safe and resilient. By being prepared, we can weather the storm and we can emerge victorious. I want to thank our great governor, Governor DeSantis, and his team for all that they've done. They've actually risen to the challenge even quicker than the federal government, which is not surprising. But we need to make sure that our state emergency management teams have everything they need as well. So we're here to support at the state, at the local, and at the federal levels. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, somebody that worked his butt off in the state legislature and now is a new Congressman, Randy Fine.
Well, thank you, and I always still want to call you governor. Senator Scott was the governor my first 2 years in the Florida House, and I am the new guy, so I'll be brief. 60 days ago, I was with my friends, Doug and David and Rachel in Tallahassee, and now here I find myself 59 days later, a member of Congress. I know this because had I got elected on November the 5th, like a normal member of Congress, today would have been the day that I got sworn in. So they get 59 days to figure it out before they start. I got 22 hours. So it has been quite a couple of months. But I want to start by thanking Senator Scott. You know, there are certain people in politics that do things because they're politically right. There are other people who do things because they're simply good people. I always tell people he's a good senator, he's a great human being, and I never forget that, and I'm always on your team. But I want to thank everybody who is here today to talk about the importance of this, and I just want to give people 3 quick points. I understand this personally, so I've been part of 2 personal home destructions. In 2004, my mom and dad's house was destroyed when those 4 hurricanes came through. ago. One of them beat it up, and then a second one and a third, and by the time it was done, they had to strip the house down to the concrete blocks and completely rebuild. And then the second hurricane happened to me in 2016. While I was running for the Florida House a month before the election, my home ended up being destroyed by a hurricane. It wasn't one of those where it gets washed away, but I can tell you, once water gets inside, where we live in Florida with mold and everything else, it can be tough to recover. It was a 3-year fight in order to get things resolved in terms of our house. So I know what it is like to go through this personally. So I want to give people 3 pieces of advice. The first is you're going to get told buy 1,000 things for a hurricane. You know, go into debt, go get a credit card, and buy everything imaginable. But what I have found the most important thing, and the things that really don't cost extra money, is extra food and extra water. When you go to Sam's, when you go to Publix, buy an extra case of water every time you go for the next few trips, and then you'll have enough water for when that storm comes. And when the storm season's over, you can drink it. The same thing, buy those extra cases of Chef Boyardee or whatever it is that you see, so you have the food that is available. You don't have to eat steak and lobster when the power goes out. The idea is to stay alive until it comes on. So make sure that you have enough food for a week. Number one. Number two is, while you can, one of the biggest problems we have in hurricanes is people don't take adequate precautions. And the federal government offers highly subsidized flood insurance. It is highly subsidized. You are not paying the actual cost, the underwritten cost of getting that insurance. You can get up to $250,000 of structural insurance and $100,000 of contents insurance for a fraction of what it actually should cost if it was underwritten appropriately. In the case that your house is damaged, I experienced it. They are very quick about getting people money. So it is a choice to spend that few $100s now to have that federal flood insurance. And by the way, it's rated based on how likely you are to flood. So the less people go, I don't need it. My area is never going to flood. There's a lot of people in North Carolina who have learned a hard lesson about that. But if you're unexpected to flood, the premiums are even lower. And I really encourage everyone to go out and take a hard look at getting federal flood insurance. And then the third thing is this. We talk when there is a storm about evacuating. And somehow in our culture in Florida, evacuating meant drive to Georgia. It meant drive far, far away. And one of the things that I learned personally is we run away from the wind. We run away from the water. We hunker down for the wind. As you're making your plan, if you have to evacuate, you don't have to drive to Georgia. You just have to be out of the zone that you are in. So part of your plan should be figuring out where you will go. And as Senator Scott said, make a friend, because odds are you're going to have a friend a couple miles away from where you live that is out. Oftentimes the evacuation is just the barrier island. That means if you've got a friend on the mainland side, maybe you can go and stay with them. Part of the way we muck up the works, we jam the roads, we make it hard for fuel to get in, is because people go to evacuate much further than they actually have to. So if you're told to evacuate, evacuate. But that doesn't mean you have to go to Washington, D.C. and come and visit us, although you're always welcome. We'd love to see you. So that's it. As we get to hurricane season, as it's about to start, I encourage people to take it seriously, but to know that we do have the best team in the country, from the feds all the way down to the local folks, to take these things seriously. Florida are pros. A big part of the reason is the foundation that Governor Scott set up during the 2 years that I had the privilege of working with him when he was the governor. So I'll be praying for my family. I'll be praying for my 75-year-old father who lives by himself now on the ocean, and I'll be praying for everybody else as we get ready to go through this next hurricane season. Thanks, everybody.
Randy, I thought you were saying the cheapest thing is just make a friend. Just make a friend and get the hell out of the evacuation zone. Now we're going to hear from Sheriff Lima.
Thank you. Thank you. And good morning. Thank you, Senator Scott, for once again pulling us together, leaders from across the state, and especially here in Central Florida. You know, I've been honored to receive phone calls before, during, and after the storm from Senator Scott for the past 14 years, whether it's his role as governor or his role as senator. He has always been there, and again, checking on not only local sheriffs here in Central Florida, but across the state, and we are incredibly grateful for you always being there with us. And then, of course, yes, And then, of course, Congressman Corey Mills, who even before he ever took public office was volunteering with our local organizations, sheriff's office, and actually securing his own swamp buggies and out there and personally handing food out, something that he has done every year since then as well. And these are really servant leaders that don't mind rolling up their sleeves and getting their hands dirty and showing up for our community each and every day. So again, we're blessed to be here. I think that the most important thing is to have leaders in the community that actually show up. And there's a bunch of leaders that are up here right now, and there's many that are not up here because there's, quite frankly, just not enough space. A lot of them are in the back of the room. But our Board of County Commissioners, our county manager, the mayors, and the city managers of the cities, we all come together to make sure that we're protecting and preserving the quality of life for our citizens and making sure that everyone is safe. The Sheriff's Office has a key role working with our municipal partners as well. And I'm going to talk about before, during, and after the storm what we do. Before the storm, I can promise you our emergency manager, Alan Harris, is going to have all of us gathering, briefing, making sure that we're very informed of what the storm is going to do, what the potential damage and harm is going to cause. And we will be out on television talking and communicating and do radio programs. And this room will be filled with practitioners and people who are really servant of the people and want to do all that they can. They quite literally, in some cases, are going to be living in an environment just like this, away from their families, away from their homes, to make sure our communities are safe. And then we'll come out and we'll tell people what to expect. If there are evacuations, the Sheriff's Office steps in to encourage evacuations by securing homes and properties. We would put anti-crime units within the areas. We would increase our patrol components within the communities. We would staff shelters should people vacate their homes and want to go to shelters. Every one of our shelters will be staffed by deputy sheriffs or police officers. These are all things that we do prior to the storm. We prepare for this all year, by the way. During the storm, we have high rescue vehicles. We call them with a variety of names, but these vehicles allow us to get into flood-prone areas, flooded areas, and actually go out on some calls for service during some high winds. Not the highest peak winds, but it allows us the ability to get there in the event of emergency. And what we do is we strategically place those at fire stations throughout the Seminole County area and staff with deputy sheriffs, with fire rescue people within those areas so we can get out there. When the storm passes, we help clear debris. We assess damage throughout our community. And then we also work with our Florida Attorney General and Governor to ensure that there's no crimes associated with storms, price gouging, different types of fraud. We make sure that our community is informed and prepared to take on those responsibilities. And we have done incredibly well here in Seminole County with the support at the local, state, and federal level. Last and certainly not least, Alan Harris, our emergency manager. We have something special here in Seminole County, and he is truly a professional and has multiple calls per day with all people, whether it's our school partners, the school board, the superintendent talking about school closures, our local universities and colleges, all of the city police departments and city managers. He just does such a remarkable job, and I know it's just not him, it's his team that is here keeping us safe, keeping us guided, and keeping us directed. So it's an honor to serve with all of the folks that are up here. I know Congressman Fine is new in his role, but we look forward to working with him in that capacity as well. I know he's a strong supporter of public safety and particularly law enforcement, so welcome and congratulations to you as well. Thank you.
You know, we've got great, Sheriff Lima is great. We've got great sheriffs and all across the state. We're really blessed in the state. You have a great county commission. Now we're going to hear from a good friend, Andrea.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you so much for doing this for our community. We are definitely blessed to have the support of the federal government and its elected officials, our state government, and all of our local governments, including the cities and the school board. It is critically important to you, our community, that your safety is protected, and these are the people that do it. But that's the top of the pyramid, and the most important part of the pyramid is the base of the pyramid, and that is our first responders that are out there, all of the folks that you typically think of, but it also includes you. And I think that's the message that the senator and his wife, Ann, want to make sure that you understand, is that we can't protect you if you don't lean in ahead of the storm and protect yourself. We're here for you. We need you to be here for you as well. So the predictions so far tell us that this is going to be another active season. Nothing that we're not used to, but we get a little bit callous to it, and I'm asking you, begging you not to. Please listen, be alert, and pay attention, and take every storm as seriously as the biggest one that you've experienced. That is important. And while the official start of the season starts on June 1st, we remind everyone to prepare now for severe weather. And that may be in the form of a tornado that surprises us right down the street from my neighborhood in our district, right here in Seminole County, and literally leveled a home. And had that resident not heard and protected themselves, they would have potentially been harmed. So it is critically important that you pay attention, that you listen to the alerts, and that you prepare. I've been a Floridian now for 46 years. I'm almost embarrassed to announce that. I still consider myself a Jersey girl, and I know how important it is to prepare. And I can tell you that the time to figure out that your generator is working or not working is not after the power goes out. The time to figure out that the cord that starts it is dry rotted and pulls out of the machine is not after the power goes out and you have a refrigerator full of food. And you may wonder how I know that. And I'm not going to tell you for fear of sacrificing my marriage. So we know that the storms are hitting. They're hitting close to home. They're harder and harder to prepare for. We need your help, and now is the time to do it. I think there were fabulous suggestions that were made here today, and that is, don't make this a prep the week before event. Do it now while you're in the grocery store. You won't even feel it, an added thing to your bill. Get a few extra cans, do all fabulous advice, and it just becomes less harsh for you at that point. And I will also point out that as you are preparing now, you are training the next generation, if you have a next generation in your household, whether they be little kids or big kids, of how to prepare. We've seen that these storms are getting bigger and bigger, and I can't imagine what they will be in the future. The work that you today do trains the next generation for preparation. That is critically important. Humans impact the outcome, and we need your help. Above all, we want to ensure you that we are prepared, and we ask you to go to prepareseminole.org and register so that you can get alerts. And I will tell you, those alerts for the folks during that tornado were amazing. I can tell you from my own household, it is not easy to herd a husband and 5 dogs into a closet. It's not. And I know that. But when that alert came in, and it came in so fast, I knew we were in trouble, and we were able to do it. Had we ignored it, we could have potentially been in harm's way. So sign up for the alerts, pay attention to the alerts. Spending a little time in the closet together is not a bad thing, if it's for no reason whatsoever. It's a great bonding experience. Above all, we're here to ensure your safety. We need you to build the base of the pyramid. We want to thank the people in this room that live here, breathe here, eat here, and by the end of it, this is not a great place to be, to help you survive and to help protect your property values. But we also want to make sure that we are thanking all of our first responders that are the first ones back out on the street once it's safe. That is an important message. It is that they are the first ones that are back out once it's safe. They cannot get to you while it is not safe. That is your responsibility to fill that gap. We believe that Seminole County is the best place to live in the world, and I will tell you that that's because of you. We need your help, and I know we can count on you. God bless. Be safe this season. Thank you again for doing this.
Sign up for the website. So that's how you get the information. You gotta sign up for it. Emergency Manager Alan Harris.
Okay. Yes, I like that. It's like we go to the same barber. Thank you for joining us today at the Seminole County Emergency Operations Center. It is truly an honor to be surrounded by elected officials that are so passionate for public safety. I want to echo what Senator Scott mentioned about water. We've had 4 100-year floods in the last 7 years. That's amazing, right? We used to call them 100-year floods. You don't have to wait 100 years anymore. And one 500-year flood, Hurricane Ian. I also want to thank the governor/senator. He also calls me on the cell phone before and it's amazing when you see Governor Scott, Senator Scott come up on your cell phone, always to check on the local emergency managers to make sure they're okay. Thank you so much for what you do. You don't know what that means to us when you make that call, and I really, really appreciate that very much. I also want to thank, of course, Congressman Mills. We're buddies now. Brought in semis of food and water and other supplies during Hurricane Milton, even before that. But thank you so much for your partnership. The partnership, of course, with the Sheriff's Office and the Fire Department is number one. Our state representatives always willing to meet with us when there's bills, and there's lots of emergency management bills, and always a partner with us in emergency management to protect the residents of the state of Florida. Our commissioners, thank you so much for your support as well. Fine, I have not worked with you very much, but I look forward to working with you in the future. Our mayors, thank you so much. Tomorrow, this Emergency Operations Center will be bustling with activity for our annual hurricane exercise. We cannot stress the importance, and we all are, of individual preparedness in our community. We must prepare. During tomorrow's exercise, over 650 injects will be placed into individuals here inside of the Emergency Operations Center. Representatives from power, water, roads and stormwater, public works, public information. They will all have to respond to the inject just like it was a real hurricane. Very, very busy type of exercise, but that's how important it is for us to prepare for the possibility of a hurricane. It isn't just about the team here in the EOC as well. So while the EOC is exercising, and even weeks before, our public works teams have been out clearing ditches, making sure that the stormwater systems are prepared to handle the increased flooding. Also, our parks folks are making sure that our parks are secure, our facilities are making sure our facilities are secure, because we're only about 40 miles from the coast. So a hurricane coming in, heaven forbid it does, at the Volusia-Brevard County line, which is our exercise tomorrow, a Category 5 hurricane coming in at that location would be devastating for the Central Florida area. We haven't experienced hurricane-sustained force winds in Seminole County since Hurricane Charlie. So that would be devastating for us here. So our solid waste teams are out working on water. The water utilities are working. Our solid waste are working on debris management. That's also a big issue after a storm, to make sure our debris plans are prepared and ready to go. This Saturday, we've all talked a little bit about volunteerism. This Saturday, we have Hurricane Action Day. This is an opportunity for individuals to come out and learn from experts on how to operate a chainsaw. We don't want you to learn how to operate a chainsaw after the hurricane. We want you to learn it before. Generator safety, how to move debris safely. This is all going to occur this Saturday. You can go to our website, prepareseminole.org, and it's got information on how to register for that incredible event. We look forward to a lot of folks coming out and volunteering. Government would love to handle everything. We can't. We require volunteers and our residents to come and support each other's, neighbors helping neighbors after a disaster. Our Seminole County team, our employees, our partner organizations, American Red Cross, a wonderful partner with us, just met a couple weeks ago, going to be exercising tomorrow and Saturday. All of our volunteer organizations that help us do everything that we can possible to make sure we're prepared for every hurricane season, and I hope you'll do the same. Thank you.
Actually, that'd be fun to come learn how to do something.
Yes, yeah.
Now we're going to hear from Fire Chief Matt McKinley. So, by the way, here's what happens after these storms. The fire and rescue goes. They come from all over the state, and they go in door by door to make sure people are safe. And they take a lot of risk. But they like when Michael hit right before my election for Senate, and the storm finished during the day, and so they had to go in at night, get down to places like Mexico Beach, and it was really hard. So, Fire Chief Matt McKinley.
So you can really tell when your elected officials grew up in Florida when we got a senator talking about getting down to the nitty-gritty. If it's the first time using a chainsaw after a hurricane, don't. That really tells you that they really know what's going on. So good morning. I want to thank Alan and all of our elected officials, our distinguished guests and attendees for joining us this morning to emphasize the importance of hurricane preparedness in Seminole County and Central Florida and the state. I'm extremely proud to be part of a team that takes preparedness so seriously. In Seminole County, we work collaboratively across departments, all departments and all partners to better serve our residents during a crisis. From a broader perspective, we also deeply appreciate Senator Scott and all the other elected officials' support in helping us amplify our education and outreach efforts for safety. We're ready to do our job, but preparedness is a shared responsibility. This is becoming a theme. Our collective goal is clear: no lives lost during hurricanes or other severe weather events. I'm pleased to report our hurricane preparedness messaging is working. We appreciate that our residents are listening and taking action. Just one example, when it comes to carbon monoxide poisoning, which remains one of the leading causes of injury both during and post-storm. Following Hurricane Milton last year, we responded to 4 generator-related carbon monoxide emergencies with 0 patients. If you go back to 2022, in contrast, during Hurricane Ian, we had 14 similar calls with 6 patients. That's a significant improvement. We've also seen a decrease in vehicle-related flooding. In other words, people going out after the storm. This is another encouraging sign that our community is taking heed to our warning and staying home, and don't go out if you don't have to. This matters greatly. Every avoidable incident puts our first responders at risk, along with yourself. We want them to respond to true emergencies and be available for those. We have finite resources. We are resource blessed in Seminole County and in the Central Florida area. But keep yourselves safe so our first responders don't have to be on the road putting their lives at risk for something that's avoidable. Without continued support from our partners and dedicated team at Seminole County government, I am confident that the citizens will remain engaged, informed, and prepared as we move into the 2025 hurricane season, which is right around the corner. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's not fair to put first responders at risk if you didn't do your job, because everybody's going to tell you what to do if you just follow the news. Now we're going to hear from the American Red Cross, and again they have people from all over the country who show up after these events.
Thank you, and thank you so much, Senator, for having the American Red Cross here. Alan, it's always wonderful, and all of our elected officials and other representatives representing our communities, so thank you. You've heard quite a bit about planning and being prepared, so I'm going to kind of skip some of that, but just kind of sum it up. You want to definitely make a plan, right? Make a plan to stay safe, create a kit, and just know how you're going to stay connected and informed. Okay, these things are very important. When you making your plan, where are you going to go? And where are you going to stay? How are you going to get there? When you're making a kit, you want to make a kit to go, but also a kit for stay at home. Right? Just be prepared. These kits should represent and meet your household's needs. Right? Everyone has different needs. You can go through a list that we have posted, that Seminole County has posted, but you need to make sure that it fits your needs. Do you have pets? Do you need to make sure you have a leash, food, water, maybe a toy, right? To stay informed, listen to the weather reports. Heed the warnings of our government officials. If they recommend or they say evacuate, please evacuate. Red Cross is your partner in getting prepared for these emergencies. Okay, so you can download the free Red Cross emergency app for the real-time weather alerts, but also it shows the open shelter locations and has expert advice on different topics in English and in Spanish. It's a good idea. There's a little tip regarding your contacts. Cell service and internet service may be disrupted, okay, depending on where you are. So go ahead and jot down those important contacts on a note card and keep that with you, okay? Because I don't know about you, but I don't know my husband's cell phone number. But, you know, the Red Cross does have thousands of volunteers across the country. We do. And in fact, 90% of those of our workforce are volunteers. However, the Red Cross is in a state of continuous response across the country. Due to the response of these large disasters, wildfires, tornadoes, hurricanes, earthquakes, you name it, you see it on the news, okay? So, but we need you, okay? Yes, we have thousands across the country, but we need you. You know this community, right? Our local volunteers know this community. So we do ask that you check it out, volunteer. Go to redcross.org/volunteer and check it out. We train throughout the year. We work with our partners, with Alan and our other community partners throughout the year. You need to do the same and be prepared. That's the common theme through this entire session today, is to be prepared. Stay in the know, okay? You are not alone when a storm hits, okay? You are not alone. Of course, the Red Cross is here, but I want to emphasize community. We cannot do it alone. We work with other nonprofit organizations. We come together, but it's time that the Red Cross, our local volunteers, that we work together with you as a community and how we can help each other weather the storm. No pun intended. But stay safe, and thank you so much.
All right, and we can take any questions anybody has.
Scott, there's been a lot made about the cuts in FEMA, and we're going into this hurricane season. Do you anticipate that people, assuming a storm hits here, people have to go through that process, are going to notice a noticeable difference with how FEMA reacts?
Sure. So Kristi Noem, the Secretary of Homeland Security, testified last week. I'm on the Homeland Security Committee, and I asked her if they're going to be ready, and they are. She said they're going to be prepared to do it. But let's remember what FEMA is. Here's the way storms work. Number one, it's your responsibility to take care of yourself. Number two, local government, and you see it up here. Local government's going to do their job. Number three, state government we have them here in Florida, we've got probably the best in the country. We've got great emergency management teams. The federal government is a check writer. They don't have a whole bunch of firemen or police or sheriffs to send in. They write checks. So really it's incumbent upon if Congress funds them. And so I'm committed to it. I know Randy Fine's committed to it. I know Corey Mills. I don't know anybody in Congress that's not committed to making sure they're funded. But just remember, FEMA is a check writing organization. They don't show up with a whole bunch of water. They don't show up. They write a check to somebody to show up with stuff.
But you would anticipate that if there were significant losses, that people would be able to get reimbursed through FEMA?
Yeah, I'm doing everything I can. Kristi Noem said they have the resources. So, but you know, the big programs on FEMA are, it's actually, paying for a portion of sheltering, what the police do in fire department, our sheriff's office. They have individual assistants, and they have the resources.
Senator, with being canceled, some of our counties will be able to get some of that grant money. I know, I added up about $7 million in Central Florida. Are you guys going to do anything to make up for that loss of grant money?
So we're gonna do everything we can to make sure. I can tell you from my standpoint, and I'll speak, I think, for Corey Mills and Randy Fine also. We're gonna do everything we can to make sure the federal government's a partner. Now, let's all realize where our federal government is right now. Okay, we are running $2 trillion deficits. How many of you want your interest rates to come down? We all do. How many of you want inflation to come down? It will not happen if we don't balance the budget. We're running $2 trillion deficits. We're not even close to balancing this budget. We have a bill that just came out of the House. They worked their butts off to try to make it a good bill that we could solve problems. We have it in the Senate right now. We have got to figure out, and we did in Florida. This state had only balanced its budget 1 year in 40 years before I became governor. We balanced the budget every year. We paid off a third of the state debt, and guess what happened? We drove down interest rates for the state, okay, and we were able to have record funding. We've got to do the exact same thing. So every program we have, we're going through it. One thing that we're trying to do is go through every program and say, what are the ones that are important, and what are the ones that are not? It's just like what we all do with our income. We say, what can we do with the income we have? Taxpayers are willing to give us about $5.5 trillion. They're not giving us any more money. Nobody comes up and runs for office and says, oh gosh, I'm going to raise everybody here in the room taxes and you're going to vote for me. They're not. People are fed up with taxes. So this is what they're going to give us. We've got to allocate the dollars better. And that's what we're all going to do.
A follow-up to that question, I know FEMA is talking about shifting responsibility over to the states, to local governments to pay for this disaster recovery. Do you think that this could overwhelm the state, local municipalities also?
Well, I'm not voting for tax increases. When I was governor, I cut taxes and fees 100 times with the support of the legislature. So it's not going to happen in my case. But I believe federal government's going to be a partner, but they're a partner. A lot of people, like I keep hearing, FEMA's going to do all this. They don't. It's first your responsibility, second local government, third state government, and finally the federal government, not the federal government first.
Senator Scott, DOGE is an effort to save taxpayers millions of dollars, but the president's unconditional pardons mean taxpayers as well as some victims of crimes, including citizens in the state, are losing out restitution when these folks walk. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think they're working hard to try to save money. I mean, we've got to figure out how to save about $2 trillion a year, and so I'm very appreciative of what DOGE is doing. There's a lot of ways they've shown that there's just complete waste. So I'm going to continue to work at it. If somebody has any specific ideas, just give them to me. I think I can speak for Corey Mills and Randy Fine. They'd say the same thing.
I have a bill.
Did you want to say something?
I have a bill that I should call.
Want to say something?
So just really quickly on DOGE, I also introduced HR 2006, which actually codifies DOGE into law. A lot of people think DOGE is a brand new thing. It's not. It's an updated system from the U.S. Digital Services. This is something that's always existed, but the difference is that it didn't have the interoperability when it comes to auditing accountability between all bureaus, departments, and agencies. So everyone was independently siloed, and we saw, whether it be the Department of Defense or others, who were actually failing their audits 7 times, in fact, in a row, whenever it came to that point. So, look, as Senator Scott talked about, as Congressman Fine and I have discussed on the floor numerous times, it is about being good stewards of taxpayers' funding. It is about making sure that we codify into law and don't let sunset things like the Tax Cut Jobs Act that would see our businesses and corporations go from a 21% tax rate to a 43.4% tax rate. I don't think anyone in this room wants to see a 20% increase in taxes, not to mention what that would mean from a revenue perspective. But the federal government is doing everything it can, not only to be partners of the state, not only to try and ensure that we have the necessary programs in place, but also to implement things that we had since 1780 to 1860, tariffs, things that are helpful in offsetting those expenditures. So, like Senator Scott said and others, we're going to continue to be good partners of the individual states, the local communities, but also codify into law the things that are working to save taxpayers' funding.
We have time for one more.
For the state representatives, there's been, right now we should be in, theoretically, a preparedness sales tax holiday going on, but that's not going on because of the fact there's no budget yet. Do you guys anticipate that, should people expect to have that sales tax holiday?
They're working hard. I've talked to the state legislature. They're working hard to get a budget.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Remember, the budget that we're working on in the legislature today is next fiscal year. So there's no impact on any of the sales tax holidays that were funded in the budget last year, because our fiscal year runs through the 30th of June. I anticipate that the legislature, which is our one constitutional responsibility, which we have failed to achieve by the 2nd of May when the session was supposed to have ended. But we're going to go back, and we'll have a budget, and we'll get it to the governor, and I'm confident the governor will sign it before the end of the fiscal year on 30th June. It's just taking longer, but there's been no negative impact by the delay. It's just unfortunate.
Thanks, guys. You can take people after individually. We're going to do a quick picture. All right. And then.
Get in the middle there.